Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in, get situated. Let's get it. Let's get it. All right, all right. How we feeling today? Terrible Tuesday? What happened? What happened? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. All right. So, today in Las Vegas, one of the Outlaws, Tupac's old group, took the stand in the Dwayne Keefe D trial. And the one thing about it, the thing that I couldn't get past, and and I've been sitting with this all afternoon, you feel me, is that prosecutors put it on the record that it was court ordered to be there. I'm sorry, he was court ordered to be there. It was court ordered. Yeah, court ordered. Meanwhile, 300 miles away in Los Angeles, we had the little Durk trial. Prosecutors named 3 men who are testifying against him. 3 men who used to be. So we talking about former OTF members. So now they're ops. That's what they call them. All 3 of them pled not guilty. Oh, I'm sorry. All 3 of them actually pled guilty. So that's how that happened. And all 3 of them are getting on the stand. I guess that's part of their guilty plea and their plea deal. So nobody had to order them. They volunteered. That was their pleasure. I guess to get maybe they got some type of sweet deal cut. That's that whole gang culture. They have all these rules. You can't do this. You can't do that. And it seems like they do all the things they say you're not supposed to do. They do that more than anybody does that. They love to do that. Whether that's talking, snitching, working with the other side to get, it just seemed like that is such a scam. The whole gang culture thing, that is such a scam because we see it all the time. We see it all the time. These if you say something, they label you a rat, a snitch, or all these things, but they're always ratting and snitching. What's the point of it? To see who falls for it? Is that how that works? Anyway, enough of that. So we got 2 trials, same day. I mean, pretty much same as yesterday. Just more is coming out on each one. I think the more likely to see some fireworks in the little Durk trial, because that's a new trial. That's a real trial. This Keefe D one is 30 years old. They're trying to piece something together, which I don't know how you defend what he's going around saying for the last 30 years. How do you defend it 30 years later after you already let the cat out the bag? Said what said you was there, said this, now you weren't there. Now you didn't see it. Now you weren't in the state. So, we'll see how that works out for him. I hope all the innocent go free. That's all I'll say. And so yeah, 2 trials same day. One man had to be forced to talk about his own friend, which, that's back to that whole culture thing, right? And 3 men lined up to talk about theirs. And that would be in the little Durk trial because they want a deal. I guess it comes down to what they want. What's in it for me? That's what you signed up for, I guess, in a gang, to be with a bunch of people they're in it as long as something is in it for them. And what's the point at that point? you are aligning with people that are going to be selfish. Well, what's the point in that? Maybe I just don't get it. Anyway, so and I don't know what it means yet. The whole testimonies that who picked to talk, who wouldn't talk, but I really don't. But I've been thinking about it all day, and I want to work through it all with y'all, if that's cool. So today is Tuesday, August 25th. This is the Clout Report. I am J. Cal, your host. Let's get into it. So first, a little housekeeping. Quick. Chats the show, like button. Y'all know. Come on now. So, and later I'll talk a little bit about the 49ers owner because that one bothered me for a reason I didn't expect. Not when I initially reported on that. So let me set this up real quick. So 19 witnesses so far. This one's name is Malcolm Greenidge. Yeah, he was part of the Outlaws, the group Tupac was in or started, but he put it together. So they had an album. He described the relationship on the stand: childhood, friend, family. That was his big brother, mentor. Okay, so now the prosecutors made a point of noting that he was court ordered to testify for a friend, for a family member, for a mentor, brother, all these things. All the things he said. Can you believe that? Where we're at, for anybody just tuning in, 1 week was 18 witnesses, cops, former gang members, a man who ran the security at Death Row. Then all last week and into Monday, they've been playing this tape. And that is the 2008 police interview, the Death Row Chronicle recording. Monday, it was Michael Dorsey and the stand while they played it a little more. And Friday, I don't know if y'all saw it, but Keefe D stood in the courtroom and went at the prosecutor, said he'd been beaten up by cops, sent to prison, and it's mostly this guy, pointing at one of the cops. And the prosecutor response was basically, for the record, I think he's upset that I'm prosecuting him for unaliving Tupac. Well, I'm sure he didn't like it, I would imagine. Which, I mean, yeah. So that is the situation, I'm sure. You won't make a friend doing that. Also, they played audio where Davis said he expected to get paid by Sean P. Diddy Combs after the unalive and untimely demise of Tupac. And I said this last week, and I'll say it again. That's a claim on the tape. That's a man talking. Combs has denied any involvement in this mess. And this is like for 30 years, and he hasn't been charged with anything connected to it. And I'm telling you what the jury heard. I'm not telling you what's the truth. There is a difference. Okay, I just want to highlight the difference. I don't know. I was not there, and I'm not claiming to know. I'm just trying to establish the facts on that, because this is seems like a fluid investigation that they're really pushing for to bring Diddy in. If there's a possible way to bring him in, they want to bring him on in on this one. Is it right? Is it fair? I guess if he did it, If he wanted to pay to have somebody taken out, I guess so. I guess that's illegal activity, and this is the place to discuss that. What are your thoughts? Anybody? But here's what I actually want to talk about, and that is, why does it take a court order for a friend, a family member, a lifelong friend at that, to come to court to talk about somebody who I would guess that they cared about? You need the court to make you come talk about your brother. Somebody unalived him out of nowhere, and the court has to force you to come in and speak your piece. You know what, gang? Because of gang rules, the whole thing is silly. It's silly. It's silly. It's clearly no honor amongst these gentlemen, because it seems like they have all these rules until they don't. You know, if it was a no snitching thing, we wouldn't even, if there was no snitching, we would never know who shot Tupac. We would never know. Who knew? There was no witnesses. There was no videotape. There was no evidence of who did what. We only know because of somebody's snitching, and they were all gang members. So, you know, let's stop with these rules for thee and not for me type of thing, because it seems like the ones that follow the rules are not the ones who create the rules or even break the rules a lot of times. So it seemed like some people abide by those rules, and which I don't know why you would even be involved in anyway. But if you are and you're abiding by the rules, it seemed like you're at a disadvantage. That's what it would seem like, because it seemed like everybody's just not playing by those rules, even though you're in the same gang. Anyway, I digress. You know, and I want to be clear. I want to be careful because, you know, I don't know this man, and I don't know his reasons. Maybe there's a legal thing. Maybe his lawyer told him something. Maybe a subpoena is just how it's done, and I'm reading too much into it. You know, maybe he got warrants. Possible, very possible. And I don't think you get out of it because you got warrants either. But, you know, maybe he had some personal situation where he was scared to go into a courtroom for anybody. You know, maybe I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that. But it just doesn't look good if they have to bring you in against your will for somebody that was near and dear to you. Just saying. But I think there's something else, and I think y'all know what it is. Because in this culture, going up there and talking, even when the person you be talking for is your own friend who got unalived, even then, it costs you something. Even then. I mean, apparently, you know, 30 years has gone by. The man's been gone for 30 years, and it costs you something to sit there in a chair and answer questions about it. I mean, that's ridiculous. And that's the part that gets me, you know, because we talk about the code all the time. Don't talk, handle it in the streets. And I understand where that comes from. I really do. You know, I'm not naive about why that exists. I know the history and how people got treated, and why people don't trust the system. I get it. But then, you know, you look up and it's 30 years later and the man is still gone. And the only reason we're even in the courtroom is because the guy accused of doing it wrote a book about it. I mean, it ain't bad enough he did the act. He got to tell the world. He got to profit off of it. So the code protected who exactly? Who is that for? It ain't for Pac. The real question, I'm not being slick, but is the code supposed to protect us? And 30 years later, the only person who talked is the man accused. Then what did it protect exactly? You know, sticking to this code, I'm saying. And if it was your friend on trial, would you be showing up, or they gotta bring you in against your will, kicking and screaming? Please answer in the chat. I'll read them. Y'all want me to read y'all comments? I can do that if you want. So now let's go to LA. So down in Los Angeles, Durk's trial. And opening statements, the government named their cooperating witnesses: Kayvon Grant, OTF Vonni, Casey Hester, OTF Jam, Keith Jones, Flacka. All three pled guilty. All three are testifying for the prosecution. That ain't good. I mean, let me be more specific. That's not good for Lil Durk. You know, that means, you know, the whole brotherhood thing went out the window. You know, y'all, yeah. So much for not talking. So much for not snitching. They so much for not snitching. And that's the issue that I have with that, because now you get to see who's who. They gave them a sweet deal because they wanted a little dirt. So they look, we'll take care of you. All you got to do is go up there and play ball. Okay, yeah, don't trip. I know what to say. I know my lines. That's it. That is it. That's it. That is gang culture right there. Don't snitch. They're all snitching. All of them snitching. I think it's probably a rarity at this point of these guys that don't snitch and will take their time and do whatever it is. And I'm not saying that's what they should do, but I'm just saying that is the attitude, that is the appropriate response that they allege. You know, that's the way the lifestyle they're supposed to live. No, I ain't saying nothing. I don't care. Give me my time. Okay. Well, these are showing you how they feel about that. And the prosecutor opened with, this is their line, not mine. This is the story of revenge. This isn't about music. It's about murder. Well, we see that. Their theory is Durk was determined to get somebody back after King Von. And they showed up and they showed the jury pictures, text messages, all of that, all the evidence they have. Now, the defense, Durk's attorney, Marissa Goldberg, stood up and pointed straight at Vonni. Her argument is that Vonni was there when Durk was killed. I'm sorry, was there when King Von got killed, and was there for the shooting attempt in Georgia in 2021. And he was there in LA in 2022. And that when the feds came through his door, he figured out that the way out was to give up somebody bigger. And that somebody bigger is the big fish, as she called it. She used the big fish phrase, which would be Little Durk in this case. And that's the whole thing. I mean, isn't it? In Vegas, a man had to be ordered to talk about his friend who passed away roughly 30 years ago, right? In LA, 3 men who called each other family, got on the stage because talking is the only thing to get them back home. And you see where they want to go. Yo, what's up, Seth? Seth's in the building. So it's the same culture, same code, and it breaks in completely different direction depending on, what's on the table, apparently. So that's what it is. And I'm telling you the truth right now. This is what the feds do. This is not a secret. This is not a conspiracy. Everybody in the street knows exactly how this works, right? Or at least by now we should. They get one man in a room, show him what his life sentence looks like. And they ask him one question: who's above you? And whoever's above you, that's the trade. Every single time, every single case. That's not new. That's just Tuesday. Today's Tuesday, right? It's another day. Just another day at the office. That is it. Nothing special. So now, whether that produces the truth or just produces a defendant, that's for the jury to decide. It's not for me. I've got opinions, but I don't have a jury seat. So we'll see how that works out. I think that's unethical, honestly. I think that's unethical. I mean, let me back up. Unless they know for sure that this bigger person is involved, not just because this person is bigger. We want somebody bigger. If that bigger person is not involved, then by all means, they should not do that. I don't know that they do that, so I'll leave that there. But if they're going after bigger names just to go after bigger names, I think that's unethical. But that's just my opinion. And so where was I? So I want to slow it down a minute because something happened in the courtroom that I don't want to blow past either. Let's see here. Okay, medical. Let's see. Okay. Okay. See. So let's see. Okay. All right. All right. So we just go to this dude. He's gonna give us a little recap. That'll probably be best.
Prosecution now claims that, look, there's a text where Durk says, don't book no flights under my name. That shows his knowledge of the conspiracy, his attempt to distance himself from the conspiracy and criminal liability, and him directing people how to pull it all off. Brian Steele got a chance to cross-examine the lead detective on this text message. I thought Brian Steele did a phenomenal job, basically tore him to pieces, but there was still some work that needs to be done. It didn't get done. That's going to be something Durk's going to have to deal with on another witness. If you ask me, let me break it down. So the message starts and Steele goes, all right, detective, this is Durk Banks sending some type of Instagram link to the person. The text like, yeah, okay. And then Steele's like, well, what did he send him? What's this link about? And the text's like, I don't know. He's like, oh, you didn't look? He's like, nah. Okay, not very good investigation work for one of the most, if not the most critical text messages in the whole case. And then he says, Durk Banks, Steele goes, all right, Durk's next message, he's still gonna post, okay? What's that about, detective? Detective's like, I don't know. Okay, then he says, I'm gonna fall back off this shit. What's that about, detective? Detective's like, I don't know. Okay, then he says, blood. What's that about, detective? He's like, oh, I think he's just trying to get his attention. Like, yo. Brian says, like, okay. Then he says, don't book no flights under no names involved with me. What's that about? Detective's like, oh, that's it. That's him saying, I don't want to be involved with the flights that we're arranging for the people to go from Chicago to LA. That shows his knowledge of the conspiracy. Steele's like, okay. And then what's the next message where the guy sends him back a link? Text like, I don't know, I didn't see it. So Steele did a great job showing that for what is the most important text message conversation in this trial, potentially, or probably, the detective can't even give you the context of all these posts and statements that are made in and around that. And then Steele suggested, hey, did you ever look to see if they were talking about some other flights? And the guy's like, no, I don't know. In my opinion, if I were a juror, I'd be looking at that going, okay, well, what was it about? I'd really want to know what it was about. And if you told me what it was about, I would say the government is full of fucking, you know what? I just said the F, but I didn't say the S. So it goes. Next video, we're going to cover the rest of what the detective said and the rest of Brian Steele's cross-examination. Like, comment, follow. Let me know you need part 2.
All right. That was something else. That was something else I wanted to show. Let's see. But you know, a lot of these cases are kind of like that. You know, a lot of these cases are like that where it really depends on the attorneys that you're going against. A lot of time they don't know what they're talking about. They have no clue. Let's see. Oh, here we go, right here. All right.
We're not going to counter. The prosecutors is swinging like knockout shit at Durk, and Durk's lawyer said, yeah, let's just move on. Let's just move on. We're not going to say, like, we're not going to counter. The prosecutors.
Well, you know, I don't think you always have to counter. You don't always have to counter. It depends. What are you countering? You better have a reason. You better have a reason. You know, you don't just say something back just to say something back. You got to have a reason where you going with that, or you lose credibility. You don't just respond, just say, yeah, well, yeah. No, you don't want to do that. If you don't have anything to say, then, I mean, you may want to have something to say, but depending on what was said, maybe it's not a whole lot to say. I mean, it's not a whole lot to say all the time. You're going to have your angles. You know, you may not have a rebuttal for everything. You know, guy got shot. You got a medical examiner saying he got shot. I mean, maybe that's just not your angle to argue the fact that he got shot. Well, he got shot. All right, but now we ain't arguing that part, because that's what the medical examiner is going to say. He got shot, where he got shot, and where it entered, where it exited, these type of details, facts about where the damage was. Well, I mean, okay, maybe that's just not your angle. Maybe that's just not part of your defense. Like, well, okay, well, he did get shot. That is factual. You know, she might have some opinions about the gun, or maybe not even that. If the bullets are there, maybe it's not even much of an opinion there. They got bullets still lodged in. So, you know, anyway. So it came out that little Pab got shot 4 times. You know, once through the chest, through his rib, through his lung, and once in the heart. So it's fair to say he got shot up. They showed the jury the autopsy photos as well. So, you know, what do you say? But we didn't do it. Anyway, and they played the 911 call from somebody who was there, you know, just whoever happened to make the call. You know, I've been covering this like a news story for like 2 weeks now, the counts, the witnesses, the flights, who flipped on who, you know, and it's easy to do it, you know, that way. It's easy to make it a chess game, you know, at this point, because, you know, it kind of is, you know, but a 21-year-old man is not here. He wasn't the target, you know, we know that. And somebody's cousin was, you know, sitting in the car, you know, and they were looking for somebody else. They wanted Quando Rondo for whatever reason. What did he do? And his family is going to sit in the courtroom for the next 2 to 4 weeks and look at every photo every time the government puts, you know, one up. So that's the content. That's somebody's whole life. You know, I just want to say that out loud before I say another word about this case. You know, so the other evidence they put up, the house, a rental in Encino. Okay. They got style. Booked on July 1st through August 18th of 2022. Listed for 8 people and 2 vehicles. Prosecutors say the agreement was signed by Durk's manager, Ola Ali. The flights, prosecutors say, when the feds were closing in 2024, Durk booked flights connected to Switzerland, Dubai, plus a private flight to Italy. He got arrested in South Florida. Okay, well, you know, so let's go through a few questions. Who's up for some questions? Now, what does that prove by itself? I mean, I would say nothing really. I mean, people book flights all the time. Rappers go on tours. Managers sign rentals. Is a manager doing the manager's job? I would imagine. I mean, just being practical. But that's not how it works in front of a jury, and everybody in the room knows it. You know, in front of a jury, it's a picture. 8 people in a house, flights out of the country, the government counting on the jury, you know, filling in the blanks, right? And seeing it the way they saw it. The defense's whole job is to stop them from filling in the blanks, you know, kind of how they see fit. So trial expected to run anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. He's facing life if it, you know, goes all against him, which I guess in California, well, this is federal. So, you know, I guess they're not looking for the death penalty. But quick one, and then I want to close this. So I'll cover this again. I did a little bit of it yesterday, but Sunday morning, 9:35 East Palestine, Ohio, Jed York, the man who owns the San Francisco 49ers, gets arrested. Prostitution charges plus criminal possession, criminal tools. I was like, what the hell is that? First off, I'm so confused. How are you a multi-billionaire and you in a damn trailer park in Ohio? Like, I mean, like, is that for a deal? He looking for a deal? Man, you better pay that money. You know, it's so many. It's so wild to me how these dudes with so much money can get caught up messing with these these down bad women. It's like I think Tiger was doing that stuff. Who else? The owner from the Patriots was messing with the I think he beat his case, but still he had allegations getting a happy ending in Florida somewhere. I mean, like, man, if you even close to $1 billion, if you got a few million, man, why are you messing with these girls for $100? Man, you asking for trouble. Anyway, I guess that's not even really the issue of why you got a guy with so much, you know, cruising the trailer park in Ohio, of all places. Ain't no trailer parks in San Francisco you can mess with. It got to be some barefoot women walking around somewhere over there. Anyway, Monday morning, 8:30, he's in court with his lawyer, and it's like a miracle. They knocked the prostitution charge down to disorderly conduct. He pleads no contest. Time served, 1150 in fines, case closed. How about that? Under 24 hours. Now that they call that efficiency. That didn't take much time at all. Case closed. Now, let me say what I got to say. No contest is not a confession. You know, with Robert Kraft, he got charged and with the same type of thing back in 2019. He was never convicted of anything. His charges ultimately got dropped. Neither one of these men were accused of trafficking anybody. And I want to be clear on that part. But the other stuff, here's what got me though. I've spent this whole show talking about men whose words from 8, 10, 30 years are getting read to jury. Men whose song lyrics are exhibits. And then there's a Sunday arrest and a Monday plea and closed file, just like that. Now, misdemeanor gets pled down every day. And that's real. That's cool. That's the truth, right? Somebody's going to tell me in the comments that this is just how county courts work. They're not wrong. I'm just saying you can look at 2 clocks side by side and think whatever you want to think. I know what I think. So let me close on this. I keep coming back to the same thing with both of these trials, and I've been chewing on it for like a couple weeks now. You know, both of these cases start the same way. Somebody lost somebody. Is that fairly accurate? In 96, it was a nephew who got jumped in the casino. In 2020, it was a best friend who got unalived outside a club in Atlanta. Pretty similar. And in both cases, and I want y'all to really hear this, the grief didn't get dealt with. It got pointed at somebody else. You know, Orlando Anderson was only 23 years old when he was, met his demise. Lil Pap was only 21, and it wasn't even who they were even looking for. And the getting back never brought anybody home. It just made the list longer, you know. And I do this coaching work on the side, and the thing I hear from men more than anything else, it's not I don't feel nothing. Everybody feels it. It's I don't know where to put it. I don't know. I just don't know where to put it. You know, so they have the feelings, they have the emotions, they have it bottled up. You know, they have to release. And if that's you, then, there are resources for you as well. You know, if that sounds familiar, if anybody if that sounds something like they may be dealing with, they need to talk to somebody. You know, maybe it's not me, but as long as they talk to somebody, they can avoid, living with that, because that's what we want to avoid. We don't want to live with with these kind of negative emotions, just grief, stress, bottled up. They don't resolve themselves. It's usually resolved when we resolve it. So, so I'm not trying to compare anybody's week to a one of these trials where people are not coming back home, right? I'm not doing that. But the sentence is sitting underneath both of these courtrooms, right? And it's sitting underneath a lot of us too. So if you're carrying something around right now and you notice it's starting to point outwards at, your significant other, your kids, at somebody at work who ain't do nothing to you, that moment, that's the moment right there to go talk to somebody. It could be me, it could be a therapist, it could be your pastor, your boy who, you tell the truth, anybody, because it's going somewhere either way. You just get to pick where, but that's just me. That's my 2 cents. Men in the chat, even women in the chat, where y'all putting that? Where y'all putting those emotions that you got bottled up? Not do you feel it? What do you do with it? How are you processing it? How are you working through it? How are you coping with that? Any questions out there about anything? Any disagreements out there? Anybody disagree with this crazy stuff that I say? This is the time. Let me know. Get it out. Don't keep that bottled in. If you know I said something that was inaccurate or rubbed you the wrong way, get that out. Get that off your chest. Don't let that point outward either. Straighten me out. I appreciate the negative comments. As long as you're making sense, I appreciate it, really. Because when we don't agree and we have a conversation, we have an opportunity to learn from each other. That's something that's unpopular right now. People only want to talk to people that believe what they believe. People only want to talk to people that see it the way they see it. They don't want to be challenged. They don't want to be questioned. They don't want any type of pushback from what they may be feeling or seeing in the world. It's like, look, this is what it is. I'm telling you how it is. Okay. But we don't grow from that. We are we're social beings. And I'm not saying we need to argue. We need to get carried away. We need to get all hot and worked up about whatever and hot in the collar. No, we have to work through our disagreements as a people. We are all here on this rock floating around space. We have to talk. We have to share ideas. We have to get along ultimately, right? Put a thumbs up in the comment if you agree. Or not. Blink or something if you agree. So it's okay. I'm saying all that to say, if you don't agree with me, that's okay. I welcome that. But I may have questions. if that's okay. You know, I may want to understand why you think what you think. You know, is that cool? And I don't ask questions to you know, attack anyone or beat anybody up with some tough questions. But if I want to learn, I'm open to learning. I am open to learning. If you have some kind of different position than I do, and you can teach me something, I'm all for it. You know, that's real talk. So, you know, we can teach each other. I'm not above learning. That's where I'm going with that. Anyway, tomorrow, we back. We're in session talking about it because court is in session tomorrow. So Vegas keeps calling witnesses. LA, they're building a case against Lil Durk. You know, and look like the way they building it, he ain't coming home. No, let me stop. Hopefully he come home. Hopefully he come home. And if you okay, if you disagree with anything I said, please say it. Just put it in the chat for me, please. Write in the comments. You know, I'd rather read the ones that come at me than the ones that pat me on the back, because that's where we actually can grow. You know, I really believe that. Anyway, I appreciate y'all tapping in. Please like, please share, please subscribe. This is the Clout Report. I'm J Cal, and this is what we do. Peace.